it's a dual carriageway, mate. We're talking about 30 mile an hour. Anyway, I forgot about it. He goes, oh, you'll hear from us soon. And I didn't hear anything. And then I moved. And I didn't get the letter. So now they've given me 6 points without me even knowing about it. So I'll appeal it. I'll get them back. But it's just like...
I think I'm up to 9.
I'm up to 9. So with these 6, I'm on 15. Oh. Right? So I'm fucked. But I luckily, when they nicked me, I said, where's the sign? If you're telling me a dual carriageway, which is the highway code is 70 or minimum 50, well, they said, oh, but we changed it. I said, where's the signs? I said, oh, there's signs by the bridge. I went, all right. So I turned around, drove back and got my friend to film it both ways. No signs. No signs.
That was clever.
The dual carriageway, I've just phoned him now and got the fucking footage. I said, I'm not fucking having it, mate. Go away. So I'll get away with it. But
tell you what, lucky he did that. Otherwise, it'd just be like yours against
theirs.
Who's they going to believe?
I've got the video of it.
MK Cypher Films is an independent production company based in Enfield, London, UK. We produce documentaries, short feature films, social media videos, and provide photography studio space for weddings, christenings, and corporate videos.
Now, let's get into today. Today we've got a great guest, well known on TV, film. He's a director. He was a singer. Is that right?
Don't embarrass me, son. I was.
Let me welcome the one and only Sean Cronin.
Nice to meet you.
What geezer?
What, son?
How you doing?
What geezer?
What geezer?
You lost?
Absolutely not.
Where are you going? Stenton Lake?
That's right, yes.
You're going the wrong way, mate. You want to follow me?
Was ist hier los? Wir haben diesen amerikanischen Fallschirmspringer dabei überrascht, wie er sich Zutritt zu Tunnel A verschaffen wollte.
Warum bin ich nicht informiert? Yeah, so I was a singer. I started off I was in a rock band called the Marionettes goth metal band, and we did over 2,000 shows, made 4 or 5 albums, and we did a world tour with Nirvana, among other people. So.
Do you know, I didn't know this until this morning.
Really?
I saw Nirvana, and I was like, you're kidding me.
I've done a lot in my life.
Yeah. What year was that?
Started it in 1982, and we were kind of like a slightly puffy goth band style. We used to wear makeup, and then about halfway through, I thought, "Fuck this!" Got rid of the makeup. Got a lot of choppers. All my road crew, well, they weren't Hell's Angels. They were Road Rats, which were the dirty versions of the Hell's Angels. And we just we had a lot of fun. I did it for nearly 20 years. Got to number 2 in Germany. Big stars.
What was Nirvana like?
And number 7 in America. Amazing.
Okay.
But when I was doing the tour with Nirvana, we were it was a big festival tour. So we were on at midday, and they were on at 10 o'clock at night. So at midday, there was like 5,000 or 10,000 people in. When Nirvana played, there was 200,000 people in. Very quick story. Got to tell you this story. So we're on the way to one of the biggest gigs on the Lorelei Rock, which is a huge amphitheatre along the Rhine. They've got this amazing, almost like a Greek stadium. Takes 100,000 people. We're on our way. We're about 10 or 11 in the morning. We're driving in our little green van with all the band in the back, and we've got this punk girl called what's her name? Leah, I think her name was. Anyway, we're driving. It's middle of summer.
And where are we?
We're in Germany. We're in Germany, driving along the Rhine, trying to get to the Lorelei Rock for this gig. But again, we're only on first or second. Anyway, a bumblebee comes in through the window, goes down her chest, into her underpants, and stings her on the fanny. So we roll the car, roll the van, right, upside down in a ditch. And I'm like, fuck, what are we going to do? So we're panicking about how they're going to get to this gig. Anyway, the time passes. Eventually, the German equivalent of the AA, I think they're called the SS, turn up and correct the van. And amazingly, although it's changed shape a little bit, it's all right. So, but suddenly it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We've missed my show. As far as I was concerned, we missed the gig. We're on at 1 o'clock. So we limp into the stadium. We get there about 7. And I go backstage and I'm crying. I'm so pissed off. I'm so upset that we've missed our gig. Kurt Cobain is on the right and Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam's on the left. And Kurt Cobain, he goes, what's the matter, mate? I said, we missed our show. He goes, you know what? I'll give you 20 minutes before we go on. And we went on between Pearl Jam and Nirvana at 9:30 before the main act to 200,000 people. Bearing in mind, we were number 2 in the charts at the time in Germany, so everybody knew all the words. We've got this one song that goes, and they all fucking singing it. So quite a buzz, but he was great. And I think he blew his head off a few months later. So he wasn't a happy chap, but he made me happy that day.
There's quite a lot there, so let's go back to the bumblebee bit. Like, that's some Final Destination shit, that is.
Yeah,
if I'm honest.
literally. So it's come in, it's gone down her chest, and it's gone down. She's going, what the fuck, like this? And she just stung her. Boom, and she's gone, wah! I was crazy, man, crazy. I mean, I've done a lot of, I've owned nightclubs. Anyway, you start where you want to start, because we've come in about halfway through a third of the way through my life.
Yeah. So let's go back to where Sean Cronin, where you grew up, how your childhood was, and where it all started for you.
So I was a single, an only child to an alcoholic mother, God rest her soul. And I grew up mostly in Ealing. Her mother is Sicilian, from Palermo. And my great-great-grandfather is Carlo Gambino, the Gambinos. So the gangster family, so fucking watch yourself, huh, capiche? That's way back. They're all dead now, you know what I mean? But,
wow.
But, so that's
quite a claim.
Quite, yeah, Sicilian, well, Sicilian background. In fact, we went back to Sicily a few weeks ago to look for my roots, and we're going back out there because I want to buy a place out there because it's beautiful. It's amazing. You know, it's not like this. It doesn't rain all day. The food, all the people. So Sicilian on one side, Irish, gypsy on the other side. Wow. My grandfather on my father's side was a Spanish horse thief, and he used to steal horses in Spain, put them on a flat-bottom boat, break them at sea, and then bring them to Wales and sell them. So there was this bit of Welsh heritage as well. And he went down at sea with 24 horses. So
just a mixture between them two heritages. Must make
I'm
you like
a
super solid.
I'm a pikey gangster, mate. That's what
Pikey gangster, mate.
Yeah, so a bit of both. But my mum was an alcoholic, so I grew up as an only child and had quite a sad upbringing. My mum and dad had sort of split up. And my grandfather, my mother's father, he was English, and mother's mother was a Sicilian. He was a general in the army, very, very posh, terribly posh. And he hated my father, who was an international drug smuggler. His business partner was Howard Marks. So he was a very naughty boy, my dad. And of course, the general, my mother's obviously dad didn't like him. So they whisked me away to Margate and said, we don't want anything to do with him, and they split up. And my dad hired a private investigator to find me. And like, when I was about 12, I was playing in the garden next door to where my alcoholic mother's alcoholic best friend was, where they used to get pissed all day long, playing with her daughter. And this bloke's appeared at the end of the path. I thought, who the fuck's that? I was running to this weird man at the end of the corridor. And he said, and it was my dad, and he'd hired a private investigator to find me.
And what was your age?
I was about 12 or 13 then.
Okay.
And then I went to see him a couple of times in London. I thought, I'm going to London. Can I say naughty stuff? Because I'm a very naughty person.
This is a free podcast.
So anyway, I found out that my dad was a bit naughty, you know.
Go on.
And two little very quick stories. So he had this sort of kind of like a bed sit with a bed on stilts. And underneath it, he had this little scales where he used to sell his weed and his little bit of naughtiness. And he had all these acid tabs, blotters. Do you know what blotters are?
MK Cypher Films is an independent production company based in Enfield, London, UK. We produce documentaries, short feature films, social media videos, and provide photography studio space for weddings, christenings, and corporate videos.
Oh, they're like, anyway, like a little twat, I've got a pair of nail scissors. I thought, I know what this is. It's acid. I'm 40, I'm pushing 15 now. I've got a pair of nail scissors and I've cut a little strip of it all the way around off.
We used to see them all over school.
Yeah, I've cut them off, gone back to my school in Margate, right? Given it away to everybody at school. The whole school are tripping. So I then get expelled for giving acid to everybody in class. And they're all, a couple of them were having meltdowns, and most of them were just giggling and laughing. So I got expelled. And my grandfather said, right, you're going in the army, mate. Nothing we can do with you. And he's a general. So I would have gone in as a lieutenant. And he was going to send me to Sandhurst, put me in the army. I went, fuck that. Ran away to live went to live with my dad. And the rest is history. And then I finished school at Twyford School, which is, I went for a posh school in Broadstairs. I was also a boxer. I was the Kent boxing champion when I was 14.
What ages when you first had your first?
About 13, 14. Queensbury rules. They taught boxing in my school. It was a posh school, and they taught boxing. And
I think they should do that in most schools. To be honest.
And I was really, really, really good at it. Really good. I mean, I had 28 fights. I won 27, but the one I lost, I just met this girl called Beatrice, beautiful, dark-skinned Malaysian girl, absolutely beautiful, and I was really in love with this girl, right? And I said, come to the fight. I sort of was sparring away. I'm just about to start fighting. Round 1, and she's not there. Where the fuck is she? Anyway, round 2, I'm winning. I spot her out the corner of my eye. Totally lose concentration. I'm going, oh, there she is. Barge! Get knocked out. Spark out. Wake up the next day. Where's she gone? She went, loser! I never saw her again. But they went to live with my dad. And ironically, I went to catering school, learned how to cook. And I haven't boiled an egg since.
What was you like at school? Did you enjoy school?
I was all right. I was okay. I didn't do very well. So I went to catering school. And then I started the rock band when I was about 17 or 18, and that's when that all kicked off. And I got a job in a restaurant, a place called the Chelsea Wharf. First job, I was 19. I lied about my age and I said I was 27. The head chef was Marco Pierre White.
Wow.
Right? Marco Pierre White was the head chef. He was in his 20s. So I lied about my age. It was owned by an historical novelist called Michael Alexander, who'd actually escaped from Colditz, right? He'd written this book about it, escaping from Colditz. Anyway, within a week, I was the manager. I had the key to this, and it was a beautiful restaurant, a crazy fucking place. Had all these amazing arches, and there was a table within each arch, right on the river. And I was a goth at this time, right? So I've got slick back black hair with a white streak in it, and I used to wear black gloves and a black dinner suit in this, I'm the boss of this restaurant. I blagged it. And we had this really crazy gay pianist called Crazy Larry, right? And he had like fedora hat, a blonde bob, fake eyelashes, fur coat, spats, suit and a cane. And he was from Texas. And he'd sit at the piano and go, stormy weather. Did you know Wanking was the capital of China? Since my man and I did a few years there. Eventually got fired for embezzlement, as you do, because in those days it was those credit cards. Ka-chung, ka-chung. So
vaguely.
Yeah, so we just run them through a couple of times, and then we'd run a cash. But eventually they caught me out and said I was being very naughty. I'm all right now, but I used to be really naughty. And then I started doing the band for many years, and the band became quite successful. And then I built, with the proceeds from that, I think we did 7 or 8 world tours. So we did 2,500 shows. I'm the only surviving member of the band. They're most of them are dead now. They're all fucking.
So I didn't even know that until this morning. I was doing a bit of research, and it says that you was in a band. You toured with Nirvana. Now we know about the famous beef in Germany, but I just thought that was quite an interesting, especially with some of the names that you were sharing the stage with. I mean,
it was amazing. Playing, that's kind of where I got my confidence, because playing in front of 200,000 people. I mean, the first few times I'm like, fuck. But when once you've done a couple of thousand shows, it became natural, and it was a real buzz. I was one little backstory to this to the thing. When I became more of a biker, I bought this big hardtail chopper, right, 3.5 meters long.
It's easy stuff.
Z1000 Kawasaki, big fat back tyre. I had no bike licence. I was driving around London all over the place. I'm going to get nicked for this problem. All over the place, driving this bloody bike. And when I first bought it, I'm like, right, 60, 70, fucking hell, 80, 90, and it went into a tank slap like that and threw me off. And I came off at 90 miles an hour wearing a T-shirt, and it removed all the skin from both my arms, a total gravel rash. And it turned out the person who built the bike had put the forks on the wrong way round. And I limped round to a guy called Snob. Snob is the president of Hells Angels London. And I sort of limped, got back on the bike. It was all twisted. And I sort of poodled home at 20 mile an hour. And he said, no, the forks are on the wrong way round. Anyway, so he said, I better sort you. I said, he said, you're going to hospital. I said, fuck that. I said, just bandage me up.
Bit of TC.
So he's bandaged me up. And the next day, or 2 days later, we're meant to be making a music video in Hamburg, right? And we were supposed to, with the bikes. So we were meant to drive the bikes to Harwich and then get the 36-hour ferry to Hamburg. What do? We missed the fucking boat. So I had to drive all the way on this bike, no license, by the way, for 1,600 miles is how far it is. And I've got a little coffin tank, which takes 30 quid worth of petrol. So I've got to stop every 500 metres. Not quite, but and it was a perilous journey. Anyway, and then and this is the same tour, the Nirvana tour. And I get on stage and both my arms are fully bandaged. And when I'm singing, the bandages crack and my arms bleed. Because it's so, and everyone's going, I love the act, man. I said, it's not an act, it's fucking real. But yeah, I did the band for many, many years, but I had so much road. It's most of your life. And every night, the band, you do a gig, you drive for 300 miles, do a gig, get annihilated, wake up with a hangover, drive for 300 miles, do a gig, get annihilated. Too much. And I was a singer, I was quite vain, so I'd only get annihilated once a week, whereas they'd get twatted every night, which is why they're all dead. And I'm the only surviving member. So, but lots and lots of fun. And anyway, I built a recording studio, and then I ended up having a record pressing plant and
Is that in Germany?
No, I had a record plant, an old vinyl press factory in Park Royal, West London. I had recording studios in Ealing, and I did all kind of music stuff and making records and a bit of bootlegging, you know what I mean? So a bit of fucking bootlegging. And then I ended up owning the second biggest nightclub in London. It's called Wild. If you Google it, you'll find it.
I've heard.
And I found this. Basically, it was Kensington College, and it was this enormous college, but there was college at the top through 2 floors, and I had the bottom 5 floors. And I had 2 oak panelled rooms. I had a beaubeautiful VIP room.
What year was this?
About 95 to about 2001.
Okay.
3,500 capacity nightclub, and I had 2 other partners, but I managed to. I don't know what happened. They couldn't make the grade, and I ended up owning this nightclub outright. And 3,500 capacity nightclub. I got involved with some of the worst gangsters. I probably shouldn't mention their names now because they're one of the biggest crime families in the UK. And I built this nightclub. And I didn't have enough money to finish it. I spent £1 million on it, building it all up. 1.6 million we spent on it.
Wow.
That was from all the money I made from the records. And I was 150 grand short.
So, before we go on,
1.6 million.
And that's what you'd made from singing?
Yeah, well, just from the record factories. I've done all right, yeah. I didn't buy a house, I'm a twat. But
it's still a success, though.
It is, but anyway, I built this bloody nightclub, got involved with I didn't have enough money to finish it. Anyway, this geezer walked in. I can't say his name because he's a very naughty person. He goes, I understand you're a bit short to finish the club, Sean. I said, how do you know? He goes, I heard it on the grapevine, mate. And he goes, here you go. 150 grand in cash. In those days, it was quite a lot of money. And it was enough to finish it. It was enough to finish the club. And anyway, long story short, 2 or 3 years later, little funny story, Mick Hucknall, Simply Red, is in. Boy George is in. Mick Hucknall calls Boy George a fucking faggot. So what does Boy George do? Hits him over the head with a cane. Bosh! Hits my Mick Hucknall. Massive fight breaks out. Long story short, Mick Hucknall, who really started the fight, gets thrown out by my 7'2" Latvian doorman.
Wow.
And on the way out, he accidentally takes out one of this gangster bloke's soldiers, knocks him out, and then this is just a little proper little gangster, and he's come back and shot my 7'2" Latvian doorman in the testicles and blew his right bollock off. And I lost my public entertainment license for a short while. Anyway, long story short, it happened twice. And eventually I lost my license, and I was so happy because I was involved with all the wrong people, doing all the wrong things. And I'd be dead if I hadn't got rid of the club. And then I was, a little bit forlorn. So I'm walking down the Portobello Road, bang, and this woman comes up, she goes, "You look really evil. You ever thought of being in the movies?"
Ooh, look really evil.
He said, "You look really evil."
That's nice of her.
I said, "Thank you." And she goes, "You ever thought of being in film?" And I just lost the club and I was a bit of a loose end. I said, "Yeah, why not try it?" And the very next day, I've rocked up to Shepperton Studios. They've shaved me from head to foot, including my eyebrows, my legs and my pubes, painted me gold and put me in a nappy.
Do I dare ask what this movie is?
The Mummy. It was The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. And I spent 6 weeks painted gold. I was a glorified extra in that. And then I got a little part in James Bond, The World Is Not Enough, where I got to hold Denise Richards round the waist for 21 days. She never said hello to me once. Goldie was on it. Little funny story, very quick story on that. Okay, so Goldie, Goldie, drum and bass.
What? Love his tune.
Legend.
In the early 90s.
Yeah,
in a city.
In a city pressure. Anyway, so it's the end of the day. We've been on set all day, and I've been holding Denise Richards, same scene every day, Denise Richards every day, holding around the waist. He goes, "Let's have a spliff." I said, "We better not, mate." He said, "6 o'clock, we'll be gone in a minute." Anyway, I thought, "Oh, fuck it." So I've taken my gun off, untucked my jumper, and I've gone out the back, bit of boom, skunk, got really stoned. Sean Cronin, A stage, I went, "Nah, fuck!" So I put the gun on the wrong way round, put the jumper on inside out, ran into the set, thinking I've got to grab Denise Richards round the waist. There she is, and I, boom, grab her. It's the wrong lady. It's what's her name? Marceau. What's her name? Michelle Marceau. She was a leading. I can't remember. I need to Google her name. I can't remember who it is. What's her name? We need to check her out. Can you look for me, Harriet? It's The World Is Not Enough. The leading lady. She played Electra. Anyway, I grabbed the wrong lady, and Michael Apted, the director, said, "Sean, you've got the wrong girl. Would you mind putting her down, please?" And then the end of that film, Pierce Brosnan opened a submarine door with my head, and that was my first movie death, actually. Bless him, he was a real sweetheart working with him. Actually, he was playing backgammon on set with everybody, and I'm quite good. My dad taught me backgammon.
Is it hard?
Yeah, it's a good game back. You should never play it. It's a great game. I said, "Excuse me, Mr. Bond."
Because my mate's trying to get me to play chess.
Chess is hard, but backgammon's more luck. But I went up to him and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Bond, but I'll thrash your ass." He went, "Fuck off." Anyway, a couple of days later, he goes, "Come on then." And I beat him. So I've got on my CV, I've beaten James Bond at backgammon. What was her name? Sophie Marceau, yes. I grabbed Sophie Marceau round the waist, and then I got a little spot in Star Wars, and about 4 or 5 movies in, I just always got pulled to the front. They go, "You've got a really evil face." And they keep pulling me to the front, and I just said, "Fuck it." And I got a proper agent, and I've now, to this day, I've been in 89 movies. I've died in 85.
Yeah, I've died a few times.
But literally, I've died more than Sean Bean now. I was electrocuted in Mission Impossible, vaporised in Fantastic Beasts.
MK Cypher Films is an independent production company based in Enfield, London, UK. We produce documentaries, short feature films, social media videos, and provide photography studio space for weddings, christenings, and corporate videos.
We'll get to Fantastic Beasts, because that's where I got my big break.
You were in Fantastic Beasts,
yes.
Yeah,
I was in Secrets of Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And I went to Warner Brothers as a complete newbie. Didn't know, I'd never been there before. And I grew up watching like Roger Rabbit, so when I was there, I was expecting to see like Roger Rabbit running about. So I got my phone out, big no-no, and I bumped into David Yates. Now, he doesn't look like a director. Doesn't even sound like a director.
He's very humble, very nice
humble,
guy,
very, very softly spoken. And he was wearing like jeans, boots, jumper, jacket. And he was like, "Can you please put your phone away?" I was like, "Oh, bollocks." Yeah, put my phone away. He says, "What are you looking for?" And the code name was Vermilion. And I said, looking for a production called Vermilion. And he was looking me up and down, and I thought, oh, okay, now I get a score. I've only just got here. And he took me to a tent. So we had a COVID test. And he says, I'll be back to come and get you in a minute. I thought he was wardrobe, I've got to be honest. So I sat in this cubicle. Cut a long story short, I was there all day. I've only gone for a COVID test. And he would knock on the door, and it was him. And he says, are you willing to have a haircut? I was like, yeah, do what you need. And he says, can you do any stunts? I said, well, professionally, I'm a professional goalkeeper, so I can professionally dive and land, if that helps. He went, yeah. So he took me on a golf cart out to the main stage. And when he said a staircase, I was expecting a staircase, but it wasn't. It was like 3 big steps. But while I was going out there, he was saying, well, you're going to be Grindelwald's bodyguard. He said, have you heard of him? No. Okay. Have you heard of Fantastic Beasts? No. He's like, Harry Potter, and that's when my jaw dropped. I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Great.
He says, well, you would have been protecting Johnny Depp. He said, but something's happened. Yeah. Well, I didn't know that. He said, something's happened, and there's going to be a break. But if you can do these stunts, you've got the part. So
but did Johnny Depp not? Well, he wasn't in the end, or was he?
He did it one day, but I never saw him. We saw his trailer. I want to see his trailer. It was all decked.
Yeah, the irony is he was exonerated because of all that. I mean, one of these things. Well, we'll go on to the sort of more serious nature of film. But yeah, I spent a lot of time. I mean, unfortunately, I did a load of big stuff in Fantastic Beasts, and they cut a lot of it out. Actually had a proper fight with Eddie Redmayne with a sort of swords, and I had quite a few scenes. And I sort of went to the premiere. I took Serena Taylor, who's Roger Taylor's wife and queen. She's the godmother of my children. And I said, "Come, yeah, I'm in Fantastic Beasts. Come along." And we're at the premiere, and it's all rocking. Tuxedos. Get to my bit, and I'm in the fucking background. I went, no, darling, cut me out. Well, it just happened a few times, but yeah. So I'll have to look out for you.
Yeah,
for your spot
and we had a week. I did the stunt, and he comes. Can you do it this way and that way? I said, yeah, do whatever fucking way you want. And he come round and like this. He said, I'll see you Monday, and that's how it started. And I did. I think it was about 3 months, 3.5 months.
3.5 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
We did the Alps. We did the dinner hall scene, and the dinner hall scene is where Jessica, her name is, the black girl, zapped me, tied my shoelaces together, and that's why, as she came
Why you fell down the stairs?
Yeah, that's how I fell down the stairs. And that was my first, from all them years of being a goalkeeper, throwing myself on the floor, injuring myself, all come to fruition for that few seconds, and got me the part that catapulted me, much like yourself.
Yeah.
And basically, he said, if you can do it, you've got a job. If not, go back to your day job. And every morning, because I'm a born-again Christian, I took myself away, done a little prayer. And I did this every day. And when I'd done it once, as I opened my eyes, Jude Law was there in his hat and coat and everything. He went, are you praying? And I thought, fuck, what do I say here? I was like, more giving thanks, but same thing. He didn't say anything. He went, and walked off. And I was like, fuck was that all about? And at the end, he says, I was talking with him, he said, you've done well. He says, if I was you, I'd carry on. And I sat in the car afterwards and I looked at Indeed. I thought, right, if all this goes tits up, I can fall back on a job and reset myself and go again on something else. 4.5 years later, I'm now hosting this, talking to people like yourself, but getting an idea of how you've
got to be in it to win it, mate. I mean,
how you started, because I've been following you for a while, you've gone from like leaps to universes, and now you're doing so much abroad, and you've got so much coming up. I just like to know you as a person and how life has panned out for you.
It's not been easy. I mean, you know,
but you've still turned out a success.
What it is, you know, so after. So I did doing a few small film bits and this, that, and the other, and then what it was an amazing. So I was on Bond. Was it Bond? It was either Bond or The Mummy, and I was walking round behind the set, behind the stage, and I just happened to walk through. There was a light on the floor, and it horror lit me from below. And just at that time, a guy called Adrian Biddle, God rest his soul, one of the most amazing DOPs. He did about 7 of the Bonds. He did all the Mummy and stuff. And a guy called Vic Armstrong. If you don't know who Vic Armstrong is probably the biggest stunt coordinator and action director in the world. He's done, I mean, you Google him, his CV, you know, Mission Impossible, Spider-Man, Batman, Bond.
I did a lot with Greg. He's going to kill me now. His last name, huge in the stunt world. Greg.
It'll come to you in a minute. But anyway,
Yeah.
and I got to know Vic Armstrong very well, and Vic Chalmers is a legend. A very quick story about Vic Armstrong, actually. I did this this thing called Gormenghast, Mervyn Peake. It was an amazing... Jonathan Rhys-Meyers was in it, Christopher Lee, incredible. When I was doing extra stuff, and Christopher Lee was on set, and he's a legend. He's like, I'm totally infatuated by Christopher Lee. And I thought, how can I talk to him? I thought, well, how can I approach him? You know. And I spotted this little plate of chocolate bourbon biscuits. I thought, I'll offer him a biscuit. So I walked up to him. Excuse me, Mr. Lee, would you like a bourbon biscuit? He said, no, thank you. And that was it, right? 20 years later, I've become friends with Vic Armstrong. I'm round at Vic's, he's invited us round for Sunday lunch. Who's at the table? Christopher Lee. And I told him the story. I said, do you remember me? And he said, no. But yeah, so, and then what happened was, I got to know Adrian Biddle, one of the best cinematographers in the world. And back in those days, on those big sets, you could have a fag, you could smoke. And I said, do you mind? You know, most of the extras, they were just hanging around in the green room waiting for their sandwiches. And I said to I think the first AD was called Jerry Gavigan, brilliant guy, first assistant director on it. I said, do you mind if I just stay by the set and just watch? I'll be really quiet. He said, yeah, as long as you know. I said, can I see you? Have a fag? And I'd sit there watching how they would construct it. And I thought, it looks great, but not that great. And then you move by, and I'd sort of get behind the monitor and you'd see the magic of how this looked actually on camera. And I got the bug, and I thought, I want to do this. So my grandma died, and I got a little bit of money, because I'd lost all my money from the club. I was penniless at the end of the nightclub. I got a little bit of money, and I bought a red one, the old-fashioned reds, the very first one. They're massive. They're like dinosaurs now. I've still got it. And I eventually put an MX sensor in it. But I started DOPing music videos, and I did some N-dubs videos and a bit of Tiny Temper, and did some really quite good music videos. Ray Fox, a load of music videos. You kind of learnt the craft and learned how to edit. Also still acting all the time. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to do anything else. Everything that I have to make money out of this, otherwise I will never really do it. You've got so many people that are security guards or waiters or that work for the council, they're tree servers. They don't tell you that on Facebook they're actors, but they're not. You know they're not. And for the last 15 years, I've made a living out of it, and now I make a good living out of it. Some things like Mission Impossible, get off to buy a house. Do you know what I mean? So that was a weird one, Mission Impossible, though, because I was originally up for a much bigger role, having a fight with Tom Cruise on top of the Vienna Opera House. That was the gig I went for, and I had this agent. I won't mention your fucking name, son. Okay. I had this agent who was a bit too much of that. And I was supposed to have been given... So I went for the audition. They went, we love you. Lucinda Sison called me, one of the biggest casting agents in the world. Yeah, they absolutely love you. We're going to get you a top agent. Anyway, he was supposed to have sent me a video of the scene I was meant to do to rehearse the fight. And then on the Wednesday, on the Monday, I went in for the stunt test. He never sent me the video. And I rocked up at Leavesden Studios for the test, and he said, "Oh yeah, I hope did you get the video? Did you learn the moves?" I said, "What video?" And I didn't get the role because I hadn't learnt it. And I was like, "No, it was 290 grand, right?" Wow, 290 grand for 21 days in Vienna. And I was mortified. I was like, "Oh mate," and I was just beating myself up. And then I sacked that agent. Mortal fuck. Anyway, I got a call back from Lucinda. She said, look, so you didn't get that role. And they've ended up using the stunt guy because they couldn't get anyone quick enough. They said they loved your face, and they booked me for the role that I got. And, I got a nice bit of money, not 290, but about a third of that. They stole my face and made a mask. I was on there for 6 weeks on Mission Impossible.
What's your advice on agents to people that are up?
It's a weird thing, because now where I am in my career, I'm directing. I've directed 5, 6, 7 features now. I'm just about to do quite a big one. And it's a weird one, because they're gatekeepers. So they're great for people up and coming. But when I was dealing with Samuel L. Jackson's agent, and they're so awkward. They said, "Who the fuck are you?" I said, "Well, Google me, you might find out who I am actually. But they're just really arrogant and annoying. So my agent is, you phone my phone, he goes, Sean Cronin, supervillain, inspired only at enormous expense. Please leave an offer. So I don't have one anymore because they take a lot of your money, and luckily I've become a bit of a go-to villain. I keep saying I must get an agent, and the phone rings and I work. And I'm working all the time, I'm directing all the time. I don't actually have a time, I don't go to auditions. I haven't auditioned for 10 years.
Because I remember being on your set, Angel of the North.
Oh, yeah.
And when I arrived, freezing. But you bought us all Chinese. You all looked after us. And then when it was come to shoot, and I was watching how you did this fight scene in a barn. And the way he's choreographing the fight. And
Choreographed. Bitch to words, I'll never say it.
I thought I was going to impress myself and make the fight work.
Yeah.
And I thought, this guy is where I want to get to. Because I've been following you so long, and I got on set with you, and I saw the way you do things. And I said to him, okay, if we can, I've just been on set with this guy, if we can get to the level he's at the moment, we can start making some wonderful, brilliant films. So when I was on there, I didn't really get a chance. I did speak to you briefly when we was eating.
Which was I fighting in, or was I choreographed? Because I was actually fighting in as well.
He was fighting in as well.
Where was that one then? Where was that? That wasn't at Dave Courtney's house, was it?
No, because I didn't make that day. Ironically, my mate went down that day.
No, because I only did two. I did one fight on the mound at the farm, and then I did one big fight at Dave Courtney's, and there was another one. I can't remember. There was there's 11 fights in that movie, and we shot that film for, it was a few $100,000, but it wasn't very much money, and it was a real challenge having that many fights. It's based on a true story, yeah. So just going back, so I've done those. I got more and more parts. I've done loads of. I did a part opposite Vinnie Jones called Kill Kane. I'm the villain, Kill Kane. I'm Kane. Vinnie Jones plays a goodie in it. He plays a school teacher.
That's not very often.
And he talks like this, you know what I mean? So we turned up. We've got a gay first-time director, lovely guy. His name escapes me. Adam, I think his name was. Very, very nervous. About 21, 22, and he's directing Vinnie Jones.
Wow.
And Vinny's turned up. He's got the screenplay. He's got a big Sharpie. And I'm not fucking doing that. And I'm not fucking doing that. I'm not fucking doing that. And I said, Vinny, leave him alone, son. Anyway, and he was just winding him up. He was just joking. And I said, Vinny, you're playing a school teacher, so can you talk like this? He said, what, like that? I said, no, like this. He said, what, like that? I said, I'll do. But yeah, and I kill his entire family, and it's quite nice. Out-villaining Vinny was quite a buzz, because if you look at my reel, you go, how far would you go, Ray? How far would you go to save these little fucking kids? And I actually got him shitting himself, which is great. But he's brilliant, great work. And sadly, he was. I think it's just before he lost his wife. His wife was very, very ill at the time. Great guy though, really, really good fun to. And it was a very low budget movie, and there was only one trailer, one.
What year was that?
Fucking hell, I don't know.
Was it early 2000s?
2010 or something like that. And there was only one Winnebago, and Vinny got it because he was the biggest star in the film, but I was the second lead. So he goes, oh, what? And I'd finished. He finished 3 or 4 days before me. He said, do you want my Winnebago? I said, yeah, I'll have it. He goes, you can have it, but it's not a Winnebago. It's a Vinnebago. And I got to stay in that. But just, from strength to strength, I've just done an amazing, the films I've been in, I've just done a film called Rendel 2, which is Batman meets Deadpool meets James Bond. And it was not a massive budget, but 5 million budget. I'm the lead in it. I'm the lead. There's a no-eared Batman who's like the hero, and I'm the main villain. It's coming out soon. It's a really great film.
When you say not a big budget, and then you follow with that with 5 million, me and MK are just going.
That's not a big budget, though.
But for us,
no. But the movies I'm directing are like 200 to 300 grand, something like that, and you can make an awful lot, but you're paying people. There's a lot of people that are making films for 20, 30 grand, but you've got to understand that nobody in those movies is getting paid. You're doing it for love. You're doing it for an IMDb credit. You get to the till in Tesco's, you go, well, I'll give you an IMDb credit. They go, no, you won't. You give me 50 quid.
Yeah, you give me some money.
So I made that decision not only to make a living, force myself to make a living out of movies, but to make sure the movies I make, I pay people. And I will pay them not minimum wage. I pay them equity minimum, so it's it's only 250, 300 quid a day, but I pay it. I'll pay the DOP. Will get 20 grand for the show. With including his kids. It's not major money, but people can live on it. And I made that commitment to make it it's a business.
Amen.
The problem is what you have now with film is you have so much choice. There's so many. There's 1,000 platforms. You know that 1,000 digital platforms worldwide. 110 territories. There is so much choice. So if I make a movie for 200 grand, you get from Amazon. So Amazon, when you first do transactional VOD, TVOD, which is where because most of our films, small films, won't get in the cinema. So you go TVOD to start with. So you go on Amazon. You're $7.99 to buy it. No one buys it. They only they rent it. It's £4.49. Of that, the aggregator, the people that do the QC checks and do the ingest and get it up onto the platform, take 50p. It's £4 left. Amazon take £2. So the producers get £2. So you've got to have 100,000 downloads to break even. So it's very, very, very hard to make money out of movies. So, and a couple of movies I've done have not made money because you just can't reach enough people unless there's so much promotion behind a film. So, like you knew when Napoleon came out, everyone knew it was out. Everyone knew it was out. How did you know? Because it was somewhere in your feed. Somewhere you saw the Napoleon trailer. Somewhere. Yeah. So an independent film is, I've got 250,000 followers on Instagram. I've got 12,000 followers and 5,000 friends on Facebook. But that's even if 10% of them download it, it's still not enough to make the budget back. So to reach enough people to make, you've got to spend money on promotion. It's really, really difficult, which is why a lot of people get influencers on their films and stuff like that. So it's not an easy business.
MK Cypher Films is an independent production company based in Enfield, London, UK. We produce documentaries, short feature films, social media videos, and provide photography studio space for weddings, christenings, and corporate videos.
There's a whole lot of information there. Information that me and MK just like, wow. But where was the crossover to when you, obviously because people have got part-time jobs and the rest. When was the crossover for you to say, okay, this is actually happening now. This I can make.
I learn every single skill. So I'm a DOP. I'm a multi-award-winning direct photography. I can edit. I can direct, I can write.
That makes more sense.
I was doing, if I didn't have an acting job, I'd shoot
a
music.
lot of people, a lot of
I get
viewers.
$3,000 to do a music video, boom, and I'd take it from the beginning, I'd cut it as well, direct it, DOP it, and then doing a few short films and stuff. And then, one thing is in this business, you can't make a film until you've made a film, right? So getting the money out of people to start with is very hard. Okay. So the first film, actual feature, I directed a few shorts and they won a few awards. And I got asked to be a cinematographer on a First World War movie called 11. It's about the last hour of the First World War. I don't know if you know the story, but literally an hour before the war, there was a general who was in Belgium, 50 miles behind enemy lines. And he said, let's give the Germans one last punch on the nose. He sent 17,000 soldiers to their death in the last hour when he knew at 11 o'clock the war would end. And all of those guys could have gone home. And they didn't. They went to their death because of this prick.
I didn't know that.
True story. And so we made this true story at 11, and I was playing the main. They weren't Nazis in the First World War; they were Kaisers, weren't they? I was playing the main German, and I was also the DOP. It was an 80 grand budget movie, low budget, super low budget. And we rocked up on the day, and a lovely guy who'd written it, good writer, but he'd never directed anything before. And within 2 or 3 days, the financier said, "Sean, he doesn't quite." He's got some ideas, but he's not. The film's not going to happen if you don't. Would you mind co-directing it? So I stepped in as director, and we shot this film 11 days. Ironically, 11 days in January. So the sun's up at 9. It's down by 3. You've got 6 hours a day in the trenches in Ipswich, these reenactment trenches, minus 15 degrees, freezing cold. And I've got to bring a 90-minute feature across the line in 11 days where I've got 6 hours a day. There was a few night shoots, little bits that we did in other locations, but the main body of the shoot in those trenches. But what I also learned about making films, which you might want to you hopefully learn from this is how you create an exit strategy for your film. Because, listen, this is a real statistic. 95% of films don't get made. Of the 5% that do, 95% of them don't make any money.
You've just echoed exactly what MK
So
was
understanding how you make movies make money is an art. On this particular film, and it's made its money back now, we decided to release it on Armistice Day, 100 years to the minute after the war ended. So on November the 18th, 100 years after the war ended, we premiered in Leicester Square, Picture House Central near Leicester Square at 11 o'clock. And literally, as the bell tolled when the war ended 100 years ago, and everyone knew the film was out, and it made most of its money back on the first day because it was Armistice Day, and that was an exit strategy. And then I made a beautiful film with Toya Wilcox called Give Them Wings, a true story of a disabled guy called Paul Hodgson. Beautiful film, a kitchen sink drama, didn't make any money because no exit strategy. Had Toya in it, but she's not a big enough name. She's a name as an act, great singer, but not a box office name. Then I made another film, very similar, called Our Kid, with Ricky Tomlinson, Leanne Best, Conor McIntyre, had lots of soap stars. Still didn't make any money. Beautiful film, won loads of awards. It's got Ricky in it. But still not enough, right? Because probably it would have done, but you need that promotion. We shot that film. Give Them Wings was 200K. Sadly, the producers, against my advice, they went with I won't bandy in the name. They went with a dodgy sales agent who's basically a criminal, and he literally a criminal. He stole all the money or didn't, and nobody would work with him because he's ripped everybody off. Don't you think
there's a lot of going on?
I can't say his name because I don't want to get into legal. But there are talking about making money out of films. It's a shark-infested water, right? If anyone can rip you off, they will. Yeah. So learning how to spot a bullshitter I've got a bullshit radar now. And when you're doing business with people, do your due diligence on them. Check their background. Find out if they've been in business for a long time. Because if distributors, if they come and go, and this particular guy's got 77 dissolved companies, 77, right? So he forms a company, rips everybody off, liquidates the company, and keeps doing it. And he's still in the business. It's incredible.
How?
Not for much longer, son. Not for much longer. But and he was banned from being a director for 13. I can't mention his name. If I mention his name, the whole. But there's an awful lot of that goes on in the business. Anyway, so I was talking about finding honest people. If you go to the company's house, incorporated 25 years ago, and they're still in business, there's a good chance they're honest. Also, if you release a movie, employ a collection agency. They take 1%, but they are the film ombudsman. A company called Vintage House is one. Another one called Freeway, or I can't remember the name of them, but look up collection agencies. They take 1%, but they will collect if your film is shown on a bloody mobile in Nigeria, they'll get the money. And they are like the movie ombudsman. So if you make sure that in your contract that you are allowed to audit them, and you insist on transparent accounting, and you tell them that your collection agency may inspect their books, bang, they'll be honest, otherwise they won't stay in business. I've learned that. I didn't know that. 6 films ago, I'm going, I've done a distribution deal. Where's the money? No money. I'm going, what the fuck? And these distributors take it off the top, right? So we've paid 200 grand, and they want 50-50. They're getting 50% off the top before we see a bean. We've got to pay 200 grand back. So it's very, very, very corrupt, the whole business. So understanding how to navigate those landmines, that shark-infested water, is very, very difficult. The other thing I've also learned, there are 500 names in the world that are bankable. If you're not in the top 500 on IMDb, you are not a bankable asset. In other words, a bankable asset, you can't open a movie. So, for example, I'm doing a movie, the story of Michael Watson. I've got 3 big names in there. I don't want to demean them, but 2 of them think they're massive names, but they're not. If I tell you their names, you'll know who they are. There's only one that is. When I was speaking to a big distributor, he said, no, we're not. Yeah, it's good that you've got them. They're known actors, but that one guy is the main name. So 500 actors, probably not even. Realistically, you've got your Brads, your Toms. Those guys will open a movie. You know that if they're in the movie, people will go to see it and it will get in the cinemas. So if you can't do that, because I'm making a 200 grand movie, Leonardo DiCaprio's fee for one movie is 20 million. Wow. Right, for one movie, but you'll know it'll be a box office smash because it's him. So to understand how to, if you're making independent, I'll finish in a minute, but making independent movies is creating what's called an exit strategy. So what I've done I've just done 2 vampire movies, one called Bogeyville. Even God knows not of this place. Crazy Southern fried hillbilly vampire movie. But how do
That
I?
looks amazing, by the way.
How do I? The trailer going to drop. There's some big news dropped day after tomorrow about that, and I'm dropping a 60-second teaser, and then the real one coming soon. What did I do? I put the Tom Cruise of Indonesia in there, right? So he's a massive star. Indonesia's got 273 million people. He is in the top 5, definitely top 10. If you Google him, Arifin Putra, his name is, in the top 5 or 10 of the Indonesian box office stars. There's 273 million people there, and guess what? They go to the cinema. It's a £5. We get £1 a ticket. His last film, 6 million people went to see it. Bang. Exit strategy. So what you do, you put an international star that's not known in the West. You get him. I got him for, I won't say much, for cheap. I mean, a few grand, but cheap from that territory. Put him in the film, and I'm guaranteed, not guaranteed, but 99% guaranteed, the full return on the investor's money from that territory. And then whatever you make elsewhere is a bonus. Drained, the leading lady, is the biggest star in Romania, born in Transylvania. She's Transylvanian.
Wow.
So that's how
Perfect.
That's a little coup for that one. The next one I'm very honoured with. The next film I'm directing is about Michael Watson, who was. Do you know who Michael Watson is? Yeah. Michael Watson was a boxer. You're probably too young. He was knocked out by Chris Eubank in 1991 and put in a coma. It's an amazing story. I was at his house on the weekend when we went to see him. Went for a barbecue at his place. Sadly, we missed Frank Bruno by 10 minutes. We literally, my car broke down on the way, and we're stuck in traffic. It was near here,
always away
in Chingford actually, and we were 3 hours in the bloody car, and we're nearly there. Yeah, and suddenly we sat in traffic. It was so long that my car starts overheating. I'm going, no. Turns out I've had the car 10 years. I've never put coolant in. I didn't even know where the fucking coolant went in it. So I put some in. It was all right. And we got there, and Frank had just left. But this story's got a different exit strategy. Yes, it's got possibly three very big names in it. Can't disclose them yet because they're not signed in blood, because you be very careful. I mean, I can say one of them. One's Jared Harris, Richard Harris's son. He's a great actor. But the great thing about this film is it's got Chris Eubank in it. In the story, Chris Eubank.
Oh, wow.
Frank Bruno's in the actual story. Muhammad Ali is in the story. Muhammad Ali's more famous than Jesus. So the way I've made this film work is that I don't even really need names, because it's got Don King is in it. I mean, it's really funny. I was asking Don King. We're trying
He's
to get
still with us, isn't he?
Yeah, we're trying to get Samuel L. Jackson to play Don King. Right? He says one line. Right. So Gerald McClellan's had a fight with Nigel Benn. Nigel Benn's knocked out Gerald McClellan. Don King is promoting Gerald McClellan. He looks down at his dying, twitching, convulsing star who's had a similar brain bleed to Michael Watson. And he turns around to Nigel Benn. He goes, "You made a believer out of me." Samuel L. Jackson wanted $1 million to say that one line. My budget's only 2.5. Wanted $1 million to say that one line. So I got Lenny Henry for $5,000.
Never.
Well, that's who we're talking to at the moment. You have to beep that out. Just because, if he hears it, if he hears, I'm not demeaning him, but he's brilliant. But you have to look at alternatives. But so, just for other filmmakers listening in, it's about, at an independent level, it's about an exit strategy, because it's really hard to make money out of films. And then also, when you get your movie budget, I've got $150,000. You spend every fucking penny of it. How are you going to sell the film?
How are you going to sell the
You
film?
need to keep half of your budget for marketing. Half, not quarter, a half. Unless you get a good distribution deal. So, because what will also happen is you'll sign a distribution deal. They'll give you 50-50 split, or if you're lucky, it should be 75-25. Don't take no 50-50. It's bullshit, right? They should give you 75%, and you need to get an MG. What's an MG? Yeah. A minimum guarantee. You need to get them to give you some money up front and guarantee marketing. If they haven't got any skin in the game, why the fuck are they going to promote your film? They take it, they stick it on the shelf. It'll do a few thousand units. They'll keep their half, and nothing happens. You don't see any money ever because your investors don't make it back. So it's finding a good distributor that's honest and making sure if you don't get a distributor, and most people with no names in the independent world will not get a big marketing spend. It's called P&A. You won't get a P&A thing. You won't get a negative pickup. Do you know what a negative pickup is? No. Negative pickup is when you make a movie, right? You go to I've made a movie for $1 million. You go to Lionsgate, they go, yeah, we'll give you $1 million. So they give you the budget for the movie. And they match that in P&A. They give you $1 million for publicity and advertising. It very rarely happens nowadays. It's called a negative pickup. Google it. You'll see what it actually is. That's not going to happen to you guys or us guys making independent films. So you've got to establish an exit strategy, and you've got to make sure that you've got, if it doesn't get a proper marketing spend from a distribution company, that you've got money to market your film. You can make a beautiful film. It's fucking brilliant. It'll win the Nobody Gives a Fuck Film Festival, right? But if nobody knows you've made that film, you'll never make your money back. So you've got to have, I mean, for example, I've held back 50, 60, 70 grand on Drained and Bogeyville for marketing. Luckily, it's horror, so horror's different. Horror's
you got a cult following.
Horror's got a brilliant cult following. So the great thing about the film industry now, I'm just getting knocking on a bit. The film tax credit, I hope it won't change with the new government, but the film tax credit in April went from 25 to 42%. So if you spend 200 grand on a movie, when you finished your movie, you put all your invoices in, and the government will give you back.
That's what Bollywood do.
They will give you back 100 grand, right? You get towards, right, which is brilliant. It's, I mean, they won't give it back on marketing money. They don't give it for legals, publicists, any of that kind of stuff, or any of that stuff. But for the actual cost of making the movie, they will give you 40% of it back on production of invoices. So what I do is I use that. I mean, you have to honour invoices if it's outstanding. A lot of the time, you've made your movie, you haven't got quite enough to pay the final invoices. No, that tax credit will come in and mop up the invoices. But what I do, I don't use that for publicity. I keep that for any invoices that are on. But I keep 50 grand of the budget, at least, so that I know that I can take it to these festivals. I can buy digital marketing. So that film must appear in everybody's social media feed, and then you're in with a chance. Final figure before I start. I'll go back to being a villain in a minute, white. But just a little bit about marketing. If you hand out 1,000 leaflets in a street full of people that eat pizza leaflets, not 100, 1,000, 3 people would order it. 3 people. So it's not 3%. It's not 0.3%, it's 0.03% will take, right? That's what it is. So your marketing, you've got to reach. So if you reach 10,000 people, you'd be lucky to get 30 downloads. If you reach 100,000, you'd be lucky to get 300. So you've got to, and that's what marketing is. You've got to reach as many people as possible to get your films out there. So, a bit of advice, you make your movie. It's not just, but I've got 100 grand to make your movie. You haven't. You've got 60. You need 40 grand for marketing, unless you get lucky and get a good distribution company. Anyway, there's enough business talk, but some advice to other filmmakers,
Talk about luck. You've got to make your own luck to be able to get anywhere.
Exactly.
And that's why when me and MK met, and I put some ideas to obviously start podcasting, it was another skill to add to my career at the moment. Not as far as what you are, but I felt like I needed to add something, because the way AI is coming in, and it's starting to limit, especially for me, my opportunities of getting anywhere as an actor, as big as I wanted to get to. So if it doesn't happen, what am I going to do? What's going to happen? So I said to him, okay, how can we start something up? I'd love to become a host of a show. How are we going to do it? And before I know it, I'm on episode 6 of True Podcast, talking to Sean. And I just feel that it's so important to keep adding to your skill set, like with you, directing, writing, your acting.
It's also understanding the business that it is, though, because it's
how to get to.
It's a real, really, really hard business. I'm very, very lucky to be one of the very few people, apart from this. Of course, there's lots of big actors.
MK Cypher Films is an independent production company based in Enfield, London, UK. We produce documentaries, short feature films, social media videos, and provide photography studio space for weddings, christenings, and corporate videos.
But, they're probably only the cream. There's probably only 2%, 2 to 5% of actors and filmmakers. There's still a lot of them because there's hundreds of thousands of filmmakers that actually make a living out of it, and it's really hard. And it's only, I mean, I've only really for the last 15 years cracked it. And you know, now because I've made films, and I can actually get investment quite easily. I couldn't get a tenner, but now because I've just raised best part of $2.5 million to make the next one, the Michael Watson one. It's only because I've got
them figures blow my mind.
But it's because I've got a CV already. They Google me. Fuck, he's got 150 credits. He must be real. And so that's it. You've got to build up your CV, build up your credibility. Yeah, but that's 29. I only had 29 7 years ago. You've got to keep going. And
yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
And it's also
yeah, because instead of me just doing movies, I'm like, I'm gonna do everything else to get to get credible, and then people will start coming to me.
Exactly.
And
that's what I found now. I used to go,
working.
give us a job. Now it's like, I can't do it. Sorry, I'm too busy. I'm too busy now.
That's the right place to be in there.
I've got so many films lined up. I literally haven't got time to do stuff. And I've got 5 features I'm delivering. I've just directed 5 in 18 months. I'm trying to deliver them. Another thing about filmmaking, you'll learn about deliverables and subtitling and all the 5.1 mixes and stuff. And I'm almost autistic as well. What happens with me is I get other people to do my assembly edits, or what I prefer to have is an assembly editor on set. So they literally, here's the mag, cut it. Next morning, shit. So by the end of the movie, I've got a rough assembly of the entire film. I'll then give them 1 or 2 more passes, and then it comes back to me, and I finish it because my screenplay's in my head.
You know what? I do the same because if we film something, I go watch it and edit it, and edit the whole scene, and have that scene edited, done, and then show it to whoever I'm supposed to show it, and then if they like it,
move on.
Yeah, but most of the time, 100%, they say, "Oh, we're keeping this."
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, because if you edit it immediately, not to just
fresh in your mind as well.
Film.
Yeah, because I used to do that. I get back at the end of a shoot and I have like 5 hard drives. Like, whoa, what the fuck? I got to sync it all up the fuck up.
Welcome to his world.
So now I have a DIT. I mean, they're not brilliant because we're only paying like £100 a day, so we can't. It's not. But they're good enough to sync all the sound up and just do a very rough assembly of the scene. They'll never get it right. But I've been polishing Bogeyville. I finally finished it. Drained is the guy that did Drain is a guy called Peter Stiliano, who wrote, co-directed it, edited it. And this guy, he's got no girlfriend, no animals, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink. He edited it. He finished.
Do anything?
I know, but he just edits films, and he's brilliant. He's a genius. It's taken me a year to edit Bogeyville because I'm off shooting other stuff, you know what I mean? And whereas he just sat down 3 months later, the film's complete. It's like, whoa, and it's standard, incredible. Peter Stiliano, big shout out to Peter, and a big shout out to my dirty old pervert, director of photography, DOP, Daniel Patrick Vaughan. Also had a wonderful shout out to a guy called Ben Pickering. Ben Pickering is my line producer. He's the guy that does all my contracts, helps me navigate the film tax credits, navigate budgeting, scheduling. If ever you need anybody to make your film happen, because you can't do everything. And I've got a guy behind me that does my paperwork and deals with all of that stuff. And I'm like, Ben, sort it out. And he's like, so calm and no problem. And I mean,
you need that though.
He's brilliant. Yeah. So if ever anybody needs a line producer, Ben Pickering is the man. So yeah, I think anything else you want to wind up? Anything you want to say at the end?
Well, I just like to wrap up the conversation with what's left to come for you. What's in the pipeline for Sean?
Well, tomorrow I'm fucking 60 years old tomorrow.
Can you believe that?
You're going to beat that out, though.
Yeah.
20 years old tomorrow.
And how long have you been the TV villain for?
I've been a villain for 20 years now. 20 fucking years, son. 89. I know. So I've got a movie. We think it's kind of come off the ground with Arnie this year. I can't say the name of it. Not allowed to say what it is. But I'm the lead villain in it. He's got a. I say he's kind of my mentor. Well, look, it's honestly never over until the money's in the bank and you're on set. Films live, they die, they get, they're gonna happen, they don't happen, they fall away. But it's looking very, very strong in the pipeline. Another movie, I've just done another movie where I can't even say it because I play. It's a lot of remakes of classics because a lot of IP has come out of copyright. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, right? Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, shot it for 20 grand. It's grossed 6.7 million, right? Wow. 20 grand. They spent another 10 grand when they realised, because everyone knows who Winnie the Pooh is. So they've ruined everybody's childhood. They just made Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, and they spent 300 or 400 grand on it. And I've actually seen it, and it's the practical effects are great. There's lots of really good gore in it. But there's a lot of people, they're doing Tinkerbell, they're doing Pinocchio, they're doing Mickey Mouse.
Never. Has
come out of copyright. There's Peter Pan. I've just played a very, very famous villain in a very famous franchise, and they've turned it into a horror. And I was in Guernsey.
Was that in Guernsey, wasn't it?
Yeah, you can't say what it is, but I'm playing a horrible character. And then I'm going to Thailand in October or November, I'm not sure which, to play a Russian animal trafficker. So I smuggle lions, not lions, sorry, there's no lions in Thailand, tigers and stuff. I've just played an Albanian sex trafficker. 50 grand from that little blonde, 50 grand.
Very nice.
50 grand, very nice. I can't say what happened, but something happens to my downstairs.
Oh, very nice.
And I deserve it. In fact, I'm so horrible in this film. It's directed by a brilliant director called Howard J. Ford, one of the best indie directors around at the moment. It's called Escape, and I play Andres, the head of an Albanian sex trafficking firm. But we went to the first preview at was it the Mayfair Hotel? I think it was Soho Hotel. And I'm so horrible in this film that I had to keep getting up and apologising to the audience because I was just so fucking horrible, man. A horrible character.
Shows what a good performance it was, though.
Mate, horrible.
Yeah.
So Bogeyville's great fun. So just very quickly to wrap up. So we've got Bogeyville. Even God knows none of this place, which is a southern fried vampire movie. I turned the farm that I was living in into a big trailer park full of vampires. And they were really dirty, dungareed, wearing motherfuckers. And Drained is
It looks a great film.
Oh, it's great. And Drained is a totally different. It's a really seductive, sexy vampire flick. We've even got some big studios looking at picking it up because it's so hot. It's shot so well.
I know a few actors that have been in Drained, and cast-wise, flawless.
Yeah,
so,
no, really great.
Hit it on
and that's sort of a vampire movie about dependency and addiction, and it's a love story. So I've got two vampire movies coming out. I've got Angel of the North coming out, which is a true story of James McCrory, bare knuckle boxer. Another film,
Dave Courtney's house.
We shot at the legendary Dave Courtney's house. Ironically, he died 2 weeks after we shot in his house. So there was a fight there 10 years ago, the actual real fight between James McCrory and Jason Young, actually. I played Jason Young in the film, actually, but I'm Jason Old. But and that fight actually happened at Dave Courtney's house.
Right,
and we reenacted it 10 years later in his house. And Dave's, he's a gangster, and he's always got his fucking knuckle dusters on, fucking knuckle dusters. And for a laugh, I'm having the fight in the ring, and he's got his knuckle duster on. He's gone bang and punched me in the back of the head. I went, Dave, and he's going, I was only joking. Fucking head's bleeding. And butter wouldn't melt. And no one knew that he was suffering so much. I heard that he had quite late stage cancer. He had arthritis, and he was in a huge amount of pain. But he was, he got a lot of bad press, Dave. But in person, one of the nicest people you will ever meet.
I've got to second that. He let me use his house, even though he wasn't there. Spoke to him on the phone. Well, make sure you fucking lock up. I was like, yeah.
Mate, lock up.
Yeah.
Lock up. And let me missus out the fucking basement when you finish with her. Yeah, no, he was lovely. A real star. So
I just said to him, thank you.
R.I.P. Dave.
I'll come and say thank you, but I never got a chance to say it.
No, I never got. He actually invited me. He was having a Valentine's, he was having a party a couple of weeks later that he invited everyone to, and then he was gone. Very, very sad. Brendan, who looked after him, is like he's sort of his right hand man for many years. Is still a very good friend of mine. But yeah, very, very sad. So I got Angel of the North, another film called Our Kid, which I've just strangled back from the distributor because they ripped me off. Wow. I've also had all of them put down. You know what I mean? Had them put down. Another film called Billy Smith about a serial killer. So we've got 5 movies in the pipeline. The big Michael Watson one. So busy boy.
I was just going to say, trying to get an hour of your time. Been leading up to this has been impossible.
Yeah, I kept trying to come. I'm coming.
I just want to thank you personally for just putting an hour aside, coming to in shit rain. I know it was just to come and do this for us. So I can't thank you enough.
I really appreciate it, mate. I really enjoyed it.
God bless.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Thank
Big
you,
shout
Sean.
out to you. Big shout out to MK. What's the name of the company again?
MK Cypher Films.
MK Cypher Films.
Or the original villain.
By the original villain, Sean Cronin. All right? So I'm going to
Cheers,
post the
Ginza.
fuck out of this shit to spread the word. Let's make this real. And thank you, Paul, man. Paul's a fine actor. Did a bit of fantastic beats. Got fantastic bollocks as well.
Bless you. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Cheers, Sean.
Cheers.
God bless, man.
No worries. Thank you. My pleasure.